The novel is written in first person, and it's written by the narrator, Christopher, who is a 15-year-old boy who is somewhere on the autism spectrum, but of course, he doesn't really discuss that because it's just who he is. And as you're reading the novel, understanding how he sees the world is just revealed as normal for him and natural for him. And so it's quite a challenge to turn it into a piece for the stage. But what Simon Stephens has done is really give us a play that is, in fact, seen through the eyes of this 15-year-old that has a special way of seeing the world on the autism spectrum. And it's pretty brilliantly done in terms of who's narrating and what Christopher is telling us and how it feels, what he sees and what he hears that is different than what you would expect from a realistic play. So it's quite an accomplishment to adapt this particular novel to the stage. It was a big hit at the National in London. They moved it to the West End. It won the Olivier Award. They moved it to Broadway. It won the Tony Award. It's had a big national tour. It's getting a lot of productions this year. I just read in American Theater Magazine that it's one of the most produced plays in America this year, and for good reason. It's a thrilling adventure for the audience, and it's about something very important. I think the play is about someone who accomplishes what he sets out to accomplish despite the barriers that face him. And that's a universal story. All of us have goals, all of us have things we want to accomplish, and all of us have barriers. Christopher's may be different than most of the people who are in the audience, except that we all have barriers. And so the thrill of the story for me, the inspiration of the story for me, is that Christopher does not focus on his limitations. Christopher instead focuses on how he's going to achieve what he wants to achieve. He's, the phrase we've used in rehearsal a lot, he's like a dog with a bone. He will not let go of what it is that he wants to find out and discover and do with his life. And that's what I hope audiences leave with. I hope they see a story of a young man who may have different, maybe even more profound obstacles than a lot of us have, but nothing stops him. Nothing stops him, and that's a thrill. I wasn't exactly sure how to stage it and how to produce it, and so I wanted that challenge as well, something that would make me grow as well as tell a great story. So one of the things that came back after we had picked Curious Incident was that Kathy said that it was KU's desire that we cast an actor who self-identifies on the autism spectrum in the role of Christopher. And I was all for that in theory, and I was a little scared of it in practice because I wasn't sure that we would have an actor who was on the spectrum who was able to handle the role. It's a huge role. He's in every scene, and he has a lot to say. And as a director, I just wanted to be sure we had a good actor in the role. And we had 3 actors who I auditioned here at KU that all self-identified. I could have used any of them. I was thrilled to have those choices, and the one that we ended up using, Darian, is a remarkable young man, and he has taken it so seriously, and he's working so hard, and he's so charming in the role. He is not a theater major. He's an elementary ed major, a sophomore from Scottsdale, Arizona. He has done a lot of acting. He did a lot of acting in high school, so he's pretty savvy about the theater. But there are times when I can tell that he's not exactly sure about the protocol, and he's a little bit overwhelmed by some of the rambunctious and uninhibited theater majors. So we've done a lot of team building, and he's now buddies with everybody, and it's been a really lovely experience to work with Darian and the whole cast. 10 actors in the cast, 4 of them pretty much play just one role. There's not only Christopher, but his teacher, and a couple of other roles that are the same character most of the time. But then there are 6 other actors that are identified in the script as the voices. They play a wide variety of roles, and we don't try to hide that from the audience. In fact, sometimes they'll just put on a different hat while they're on stage and become a different character. So it's a very theatrical piece, and it's very imaginative. And again, it's all seen through Christopher's eyes. And so it's not all about creating a verisimilitude of realism in the theater. It's theatrical, fast-moving, The metaphor we've used for the play is that it is a roller coaster ride. It never stops. And I hope the audience feels that way. It's been sentimental for me to be at KU for a month. I spent 7 years here doing 2 degrees, and I was deeply invested in the theater department, in the faculty members here, in my former students, and in the university. And I've been gone a long time. It's been 30 years, really, since I've spent much time at all, except to just bop in, say hello. And the university has changed enormously. The physical plant has changed enormously. But it's been a thrill for me. It's been a privilege for me to come back to a place that was so important to me. So I'm here directing because I'm on sabbatical from TCU. And a couple of years ago, I said to Kathy Pryor, director of theater here at KU, if I get this sabbatical, I would love to come up and have a chance to direct a show again at KU if that's something that you would like. And she agreed, and we picked a show. And then months after we were already planning the production, she sent me an email this summer to let me know that I had been named as the first Ronald A. Willis Scholar artist. And I'm still a little uncomfortable talking about it because it means so much to me. I never dreamed that would happen. Ron was a bigger-than-life figure to me. When he was the chair of the theater department here, this was such a vibrant, booming place, and I know that most of that was because of him and the other colleagues that were on the faculty at that time. And I looked up to him so much and respected him so much as a scholar, as a director, as a teacher. He was maybe the most exciting teacher I've ever been in the classroom with. And so to be associated with him even a little with that kind of an award is very humbling for me.